Hi there! You're in for a treat today because we are virtually traveling to Portugal, where EHEDG established a new EHEDG regional section about a year ago. And with us today is Margarida Cortez Vieira, and she's the chair of the EHEDG regional section Portugal. And she's also a professor at the engineering faculty of the Universidade de Algarve. Nice to have you with us. Margarida, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Good afternoon. My name is Margarida Vieira. I am a chemical engineer by background, and then I specialized in food, doing a master's degree and a PhD in food engineering. I teach for more than 30 years in University of Algarve about food engineering, and I have a course that I teach that is especially hygienic design in food plants. So I am right now the chair of the regional section of EHEDG.
Margarida, how would you describe the structure of the Portuguese food industry?
We have like all the Mediterranean countries, some products that are typical, like the high production of olive oil, wine, and then bread and pastry, and of course milk. But bread and pastry is very strong in Portugal, and it's characterized by small companies. We have several small companies making these products, like the famous custard pastry called pastel de nata and others, convent pastry. And these are small companies that need help to produce with more hygienic, to achieve the high hygienic standards that are demanded by all the rules established by EU.
If I understand you correctly, you're saying that there is still quite some room for improvement for food safety in your region. Is that the reason why you decided to establish a new regional section in Portugal?
Well, Portugal has evolved a lot. With all the rules by the European Union, we have been modernizing the food industry and buying more equipment and being more modernized. But in a level of industry, that is at least my feeling, where you have already a certain dimension in the companies. When we're talking about these very small companies, they don't afford enough money to pay for someone with the proper expertise to be able to achieve the levels of hygiene, design, and hygiene in their products that are needed. So, and pastry, mainly pastry, is an industry that requires a very severe control to have safety products, food safety products. So I think that I'm not saying that it's not safe to eat pastel de nata. On the opposite, it goes to high temperatures, so the product is safe. But there are others that probably are not so safe, and people struggle a lot to achieve what is demanded by the rules. And sometimes they need to ask the universities, mainly they require to us to achieve what is needed, depending on the if they want to export, for instance, or if they want to extend their shelf lives, and this sometimes depends a lot on having better hygienic design procedures.
Okay, so a big difference between big and smaller food companies. Now, concerning these smaller food companies, the EHEDG product portfolio consisting of the certification schemes, the guidelines, and the training and education portfolio, which part of that EHEDG membership value is most valuable to your smaller companies there?
I think all of them will be very useful. Training mainly for the food industry, certification more for the equipment for food industry manufacturers, and the guidelines come along with training, I think, because if you don't know much about it, the guidelines won't be useful. I think it has to be half and half. They have to be trained to use the guidelines. We train already in our universities, in the degrees that we have of food engineering. We teach some parts of hygienic design, and about the plants, about the equipment, about parts of equipment, etc. We cover all this, but this is for those who can hire a food engineer, and even those need more training, of course, because we cannot in a semester train everything. So.
Now, personally, I would love to be able to buy some of your delicious Portuguese pastries here in a local supermarket in the Netherlands, but unfortunately, they are not available here. So, does the EHEDG network maybe also offer your smaller and medium-sized regional food processing companies new opportunities to develop new markets in Europe?
Oh, yes, it's networking. It's very important. Many companies are trying, especially young people that start a new company. They are not anymore interested in selling for the Portuguese market. They already think European, and so they always come to us to ask about packaging and about extending shelf life, to be able to have enough time to export and sell, at least in the channels all over Europe. So they require that expertise that is missing, of course. And the channels sometimes come from the networking, and that's very important.
Well, of course, just like any other region in the world, you have been very restricted in your options to reach out to the industry and to propagate hygienic design in your region. But when we're looking ahead, the coming month, the coming year, what are your plans for Portugal?
We're planning on going to Lisbon and to Porto, and maybe to ask some of the questions you're asking to some of the main associations of food manufacturers, to know what is their feeling about the needs more in depth, and also to present ourselves and say we're here. We already contacted also there's going to be a food fair in Lisbon, but when I contacted them, it was supposed to be now in April, but they postponed, of course. So everything is kind of postponed, but I'm intending, I hope at least, to go beginning of September to do some presential meetings in the country, mainly in Lisbon and Porto.
Professor Margarida Vieira, Chair of the EHEDG Regional Section Portugal, thank you very much for this interview, and good luck with all your future activities in your region.
Thank you. Thank you.